Captain Jake Morrison stared at the blue planet growing larger on his ship's main screen. After 6 months of traveling through space, they had finally reached the Zephyrian homeworld. His hands were sweaty as he gripped the armrests of his captain's chair. This was humanity's first real chance at making friends with an alien species. "Captain, we're getting a signal from the planet," said Amy Rodriguez from her communication station. Her voice was steady, but Jake could see the excitement in her eyes. "They're speaking English, sir. They want to know if we're ready for the meeting." Jake looked around the bridge of the Terra Nova. His small crew had become like family during their long journey. Lisa Kane sat at the pilot controls, her fingers dancing over the buttons with practiced ease. Danny Collins, their medic, stood near the back wall, checking his medical equipment one more time. They were good people, and Jake trusted them with his life. "Tell them we're ready," Jake said. "And Amy, make sure you record everything. This is going to be in the history books." The Zephyrians had contacted Earth 3 years ago. Their message was simple but amazing. They had been watching humanity for decades and decided it was time to meet. They wanted peace and friendship between their species. The Earth government had spent 2 years planning this mission, and Jake was chosen to lead it because of his experience with difficult diplomatic situations. "Sir, they're sending a small ship to dock with us," Lisa reported. "It's beautiful, Captain. Like nothing I've ever seen." Through the main screen, Jake watched the alien ship approach. It looked like it was grown rather than built, with smooth curves and a surface that seemed to glow with soft blue light. It moved through space like a living thing, graceful and quiet. "Docking successful," Lisa announced. "They're aboard, sir." Jake straightened his uniform and walked toward the airlock. His heart was beating fast, but he tried to look calm and confident. Behind him, his crew followed at a respectful distance. The airlock door opened with a soft hiss. The first thing Jake noticed was how tall she was. The alien woman stood almost 7 feet high, with skin that looked like polished blue crystal. Her hair was silver and moved like it was underwater, even though there was no wind. But her eyes were what caught his attention. They were large and golden, and when she looked at him, he felt like she could see right into his soul. "I am Princess Vera Thalnos," she said, her voice musical and strange. "I speak for my father, King Aldrich, and for all Zephyrians who want peace with humanity." Jake bowed slightly the way the diplomats had taught him. "I am Captain Jake Morrison, representing Earth and all humanity. We are honored to meet you, Princess." 2 other Zephyrians stood behind her, but they stayed silent. Jake led the group to the ship's main conference room, where they had set up chairs and a table for the meeting. Danny had prepared some human food and drinks, though they weren't sure if Zephyrians could eat the same things. "Your ship is impressive," Princess Vera said as they walked. "We have studied human technology from afar. You build things differently than we do, but there is beauty in your methods." "Thank you," Jake replied. "Your ship is amazing too. It looks alive." Princess Vera smiled, and Jake noticed her teeth were slightly pointed. "In a way, it is alive. We grow our ships using biotechnology. They are partners, not just tools." They sat down at the conference table, and Jake began to explain Earth's hopes for friendship between their species. Princess Vera listened carefully, sometimes asking questions that showed how much Zephyrians already knew about human culture. The meeting was going better than Jake had dared to hope. Then the alarm started screaming. "Captain, we have multiple ships approaching fast." Amy's voice came through the communication system. "They're not responding to our signals, and they're armed." Jake jumped to his feet. "Battle stations. Lisa, get us ready to move if we need to." Princess Vera stood as well, her golden eyes wide with worry. "Those are Zephyrian ships, but they are not supposed to be here." This meeting was secret. "Amy, try to contact them," Jake ordered. "I'm trying, sir, but they're jamming our communications." "Wait, they're sending a message on an open channel." A harsh voice filled the room, speaking in the Zephyrian language. Princess Vera's face went pale, and she spoke rapidly to her 2 companions. Jake didn't understand the words, but the tone was clearly threatening. "What are they saying?" Jake asked. "They are extremists who oppose any contact with humans," Princess Vera explained. "They believe aliens will corrupt our pure bloodline. They are ordering me to return to their ships immediately. And if you refuse, they will destroy both our ships and blame humanity for my death. They want to start a war." The ship shook as energy weapons hit their shields. Through the main screen, Jake could see at least 6 Zephyrian warships surrounding them. The Terra Nova was a diplomatic vessel, not a warship. They had some defensive weapons, but nothing that could fight off this many enemies. "Princess, do you have any ideas?" Jake asked desperately. Before she could answer, something small and fast shot through the ship's hull. It was some kind of projectile that passed right through their shields like they weren't there. Princess Vera cried out and fell to the floor, clutching her side. A dark blue liquid was spreading across her clothing. "Danny, get over here now," Jake shouted. The medic rushed to Princess Vera's side and began examining her wound. The two Zephyrian companions were speaking frantically in their own language, their voices full of panic. "It's some kind of poison," Danny said grimly. "It's spreading through her bloodstream, and I don't know how to stop it. Her entire biology is different from ours." Princess Vera was getting weaker by the second. Her golden eyes were growing dim, and her breathing was becoming labored. "The poison is designed to kill royalty," she whispered. "It targets our genetic markers. No Zephyrian medicine can cure it." Jake knelt beside her, feeling helpless. This was supposed to be a peace mission, and now the alien princess was dying on his ship. But then Danny looked up with a wild idea in his eyes. "Captain, I have a crazy thought. What if we tried a blood transfusion?" "What do you mean?" "Human blood is completely different from Zephyrian blood. Maybe it could dilute the poison or even neutralize it. It's dangerous, but she's going to die anyway if we don't try something." Jake didn't hesitate. "Do it, use my blood." Princess Vera's eyes widened. "You would risk your life for someone you just met?" "That's what humans do," Jake said simply. "We help each other." As Danny prepared the transfusion equipment, the ship continued to shake from enemy fire. Jake held Princess Vera's hand as his blood began flowing into her veins. He felt dizzy and strange, but he was determined to save her life. Then something incredible happened. As their blood mixed, Jake suddenly felt a presence in his mind. He could sense Princess Vera's thoughts and emotions as clearly as his own. Her surprise and gratitude flowed through him like warm water, and he knew she could feel his determination and compassion. The poison stopped spreading. Princess Vera's color began to return and her breathing grew stronger. But the connection between their minds remained, growing stronger with each passing moment. Jake Morrison had saved the alien princess, but he had no idea that his life would never be the same again. 3 months had passed since Jake Morrison returned to Earth, but sleep still wouldn't come easily. He sat on the edge of his bed in his small apartment, holding his head in his hands. The dreams were getting stronger every night. No, not dreams exactly. They were memories, but not his own. He could see a crystal palace with towers that reached toward purple skies. He could taste foods he had never eaten, with flavors that had no names in any human language. Most disturbing of all, he could feel emotions that weren't his own flowing through his mind like a gentle river. "Princess Vera," he whispered into the darkness. Immediately he felt a response. Warmth and recognition flowed through the strange connection they shared. Somewhere across the galaxy, she had heard her name in his thoughts. Jake got up and walked to his window. The city lights of New York spread out below him, but his mind was focused on a world of blue crystal and silver trees. Through their bond, he could feel that Princess Vera was awake too, probably standing on a balcony of her father's palace, looking up at alien stars. The doctors at Earth Medical Command had spent weeks studying him after his return. Dr. Marcus Webb, the head of alien biology research, was fascinated by what had happened. Blood tests showed that Jake's DNA had been slightly altered by the transfusion, but they couldn't explain the mental connection. "It's unprecedented," Dr. Webb had told him during their last meeting. "Your brain shows activity patterns we've never seen before. It's almost like you're sharing thoughts with someone across interstellar space." "That's exactly what's happening," Jake had replied, but the doctor just shook his head in confusion. Now standing at his window, Jake felt Princess Vera's emotions shift to worry and fear. Something was wrong on her world. Through their connection, he caught fragments of conversations in the Zephyrian language, which he somehow understood now. Contaminated by alien blood, unfit to rule. The bloodline must remain pure. Jake's hands clenched into fists. The extremists who had attacked their ships were still causing trouble, but this time they were attacking Princess Vera's right to inherit the throne. His phone rang, startling him out of his thoughts. The caller ID showed Admiral Sarah Mitchell, his commanding officer. "Morrison, I need you to come in immediately." The Admiral's voice was tense. "We've received a priority message from the Zephyrian homeworld." Jake dressed quickly and took a taxi to the Space Command headquarters. The building was mostly empty at 3 in the morning, but the Admiral was waiting for him in her office. along with Dr. Webb and several other officials Jake didn't recognize. "Captain, we've been in contact with King Aldrich Thalnos," Admiral Mitchell began. "The political situation on their world has become very unstable." Dr. Webb activated a holographic display that showed a recording of King Aldrich. The alien king looked older and more tired than Jake remembered. His blue crystalline skin seemed duller and his golden eyes were filled with sadness. "People of Earth," the king's translated voice said, "I must inform you that there are those among my people who oppose the friendship we have begun with humanity. They claim that my daughter has been corrupted by contact with your species and that she is no longer fit to rule our people." Jake felt anger rising in his chest, both his own and Princess Vera's, flowing through their connection. The king continued, "By our ancient laws, Princess Vera must prove her worthiness to inherit the throne, but I fear that some of my nobles have already decided she will fail. Regardless of the truth." The recording ended, and Admiral Mitchell looked directly at Jake. "Captain, 3 hours ago we received another message. This one was sent secretly, using channels that the extremist faction doesn't monitor. A new hologram appeared. This time it was Princess Vera herself." Jake's heart skipped a beat when he saw her face. Through their connection, he had felt her emotions, but seeing her brought back memories of their first meeting. "Jake Morrison," she said, and her voice was exactly as he remembered it. "I know you can feel what I feel. You know that my father is in danger. The same poison that nearly killed me has been used against him, but in smaller doses. It's making him weak and sick, and the extremists are using his illness to claim that our family is cursed." Jake leaned forward, hanging on every word. "General Crix Valdrin leads the opposition now. He has convinced many nobles that contact with humanity has brought disease and corruption to our world. They are planning to remove me from the line of succession and place Valdrin in power." Princess Vera paused, and Jake could feel her internal struggle through their bond. "I should not ask this of you, but I need your help. The bond we share is not understood by our people, but it may be the key to saving both our worlds from war. Valdrin plans to attack Earth once he takes power, claiming that humans are a threat to all pure-blooded species in the galaxy." The recording ended, leaving the room in silence. "Well, Captain?" Admiral Mitchell asked. "What do you think?" Jake didn't need to think. Through his connection with Princess Vera, he could feel her desperation and fear not for herself, but for her people and for the peace between their species. "I have to go back," he said simply. Dr. Webb frowned. "Captain, we still don't understand what happened to you during that transfusion. Returning to their world could be dangerous." "Doctor, with respect, I don't think you understand," Jake replied. "This connection isn't just some medical curiosity. It's real and it's strong. I can feel her emotions right now. She's scared, but she's also determined to protect her people. That's exactly what I would do in her situation." Admiral Mitchell studied Jake's face for a long moment. "Captain, if we send you back, it won't be a diplomatic mission this time. You'll be going into the middle of what might become a civil war." "Then I'll need my team," Jake said. "Lisa, Danny, Amy, and maybe a few more people." "Already assembled and waiting for your decision," the Admiral replied with a slight smile. "They volunteered the moment we told them what was happening." Jake felt a surge of gratitude for his crew. They had become more than just fellow officers during their first mission. They were friends who were willing to risk their lives for an alien princess they barely knew, simply because Jake asked them to. "There's one more thing," Dr. Webb said. "We've been studying the blood samples from your transfusion. Human blood seems to have remarkable healing properties for Zephyrians. It might be the key to curing their king." "Then we're definitely going," Jake said firmly. As the meeting broke up and preparations began for their return journey, Jake felt Princess Vera's presence in his mind more strongly than ever. She knew he was coming, and for the first time in months he felt hope flowing through their connection. But he also felt something else. A dark presence was growing stronger on her world. General Valdrin and his followers were planning something bigger than just a simple coup. They were preparing for war, and they saw humanity as their first target. Jake looked out at the stars through the headquarters window. Somewhere out there, Princess Vera was fighting for the future of both their species. The blood bond they shared had saved her life, but now it might be the only thing that could save both their worlds. He closed his eyes and sent a thought across the vast distance between them. "Hold on, Princess." "I'm coming." The response came immediately, warm and strong. "I know, Jake Morrison. I can feel your determination. Together, We will find a way. As Jake left the building to prepare for another dangerous journey into space, he realized that his life on Earth felt less real than the connection he shared with an alien princess on a distant world. The blood transfusion had done more than save her life. It had created something entirely new, something that neither species had ever experienced before. And somehow, that bond was going to change the galaxy forever. The Terra Nova dropped out of faster-than-light travel, just as explosions lit up the space around the Zephyrian homeworld. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching enemy ships chase a smaller vessel across the planet's upper atmosphere. Through his bond with Princess Vera, he could feel her terror and determination. "Captain, I'm reading at least 30 ships engaged in combat," Lisa Kane reported from the pilot station. "It looks like a full civil war down there." Jake closed his eyes and reached out through his connection to Princess Vera. He could feel her presence clearly now, stronger than it had ever been during the months they were separated. She was on the planet's surface, hiding in some kind of underground facility. "Amy, try to contact Princess Vera on the frequency she gave us," Jake ordered. "Sir, I'm getting interference from all the fighting, but I think I can get through," Amy Rodriguez replied, her fingers flying over the communication controls. A moment later, Princess Vera's voice filled the bridge. Even through the static, Jake could hear the relief in her voice. "Jake Morrison, you came back. I told you I would," Jake replied. "What's the situation down there?" "General Valdrin has taken control of the capital city. My father is being held prisoner in the royal palace. The general claims that the king is too sick to rule and that I'm unfit because of my contact with humans." Through their bond, Jake felt Princess Vera's anger and frustration. But there was something else too, something that surprised him. She was learning to control their connection, to send specific thoughts and feelings instead of everything at once. "Princess, we brought medical supplies. Danny thinks he might be able to help your father." "That's not possible," Princess Vera replied. "The palace is surrounded by Valdrin's forces. No one can get in or out." Jake felt a strange sensation as their mental connection suddenly deepened. Princess Vera was sharing something with him, some kind of knowledge or memory. Suddenly he knew things about Zephyrian combat techniques that he had never learned. He understood how their weapons worked and how their soldiers thought. "Princess, are you doing that on purpose?" Jake asked. "Doing what?" she replied. But Jake could feel her surprise through their bond. "You're sharing knowledge with me. I can see your memories of Zephyrian military tactics." There was silence for a moment. Then Princess Vera spoke, wonder in her voice. "And I can see your human battle strategies." "Jake, this is incredible. I understand things about leadership and tactics that I never learned." Danny Collins stepped forward. "Captain, if you two can share knowledge like that, maybe we can find a way to rescue the king." Jake nodded, an idea forming in his mind. "Princess, can you gather any loyal soldiers? Even a small group?" "Yes, I have about 50 warriors with me. They're brave, but Valdrin has thousands." "Numbers don't always win battles," Jake said, remembering something his old military instructors had taught him. As soon as he thought it, he felt Princess Vera understanding the concept through their bond. "You're right," she said. "Quality and surprise can defeat quantity. I never saw it that way before." Over the next few hours, Jake and Princess Vera worked together in a way that amazed both of them. Through their blood bond, they could share ideas instantly. When Jake thought of a human military strategy, Princess Vera immediately understood how to adapt it using Zephyrian technology. When she remembered ancient Zephyrian warrior techniques, Jake could see how to combine them with modern human tactics. Lisa Kane watched the planning session with fascination. "Captain, it's like watching two people share the same brain. You finish each other's thoughts." "It's more than that," Jake replied. "We're becoming something new, neither completely human nor completely Zephyrian." The rescue plan they developed was complex but brilliant. Princess Vera's loyal forces would create a distraction on one side of the palace, while Jake's team used stolen Zephyrian uniforms to infiltrate from the other side. The blood bond would let them coordinate their actions perfectly, even without radio communication. But as they prepared to launch the mission, Amy picked up a new transmission from the planet. "Captain, General Valdrin is broadcasting on all frequencies. He's making some kind of announcement." The main screen filled with the image of a tall Zephyrian male. His crystalline blue skin was darker than Princess Vera's, and his golden eyes were cold and cruel. He wore elaborate military decorations, and behind him stood rows of armed soldiers. "People of Zephyria," General Valdrin began, I speak to you as your new ruler. The weak king who allowed alien contamination into our pure bloodline has been removed from power. The corrupted princess who mixed her blood with that of inferior humans has been declared an enemy of our species. Jake felt rage flowing through his bond with Princess Vera, but he also felt her learning to control that anger, to use it as fuel for determination rather than letting it cloud her judgment. Valdrin continued, "But this crisis has revealed an even greater threat. The humans who came to our world brought disease and corruption with them. They represent a danger to all pure-blooded species in the galaxy. Once I have secured Zephyria, I will lead a fleet to Earth and eliminate this threat forever." The transmission ended, but Jake's crew remained silent, staring at the blank screen. "Captain," Danny said quietly, "he's planning to attack Earth." "Not if we stop him first," Jake replied grimly. Through his bond with Princess Vera, Jake felt her making a difficult decision. "Jake, there's something I need to tell you. The general has captured your location. He's sending ships to destroy the Terra Nova." "How many ships?" Lisa asked, already moving toward the pilot controls. "Too many to fight," Princess Vera replied. "But I have an idea. Jake, can you trust me completely?" "With my life," Jake answered without hesitation. "Then prepare your ship to land on the planet's surface. I'm going to guide you to a hidden location using our bond." What happened next was unlike anything in human spaceflight history. Princess Vera, using her telepathic connection with Jake, guided the Terra Nova through a complex series of maneuvers that avoided enemy detection. Jake found himself piloting the ship using knowledge he didn't possess, relying entirely on Princess Vera's understanding of Zephyrian technology and tactics. They landed in a crystal forest, where the trees themselves provided natural camouflage for their ship. Within hours, Princess Vera and her loyal warriors had reached their location. When Jake saw Princess Vera again for the first time in months, he was surprised by how natural it felt. Through their bond, they had been in constant contact, sharing thoughts and emotions. Meeting in person was simply the next step in a relationship that had been growing stronger every day. "Thank you for coming back," Princess Vera said as they embraced. "Thank you for trusting me with your life again," Jake replied, but their reunion was interrupted by urgent news. One of Princess Vera's scouts reported that General Valdrin had announced a new plan. He was going to execute King Aldrich publicly, claiming that the king's death was necessary to purify the royal bloodline. The execution was scheduled for the next day. "We're out of time," Princess Vera said, her golden eyes filled with determination. Jake nodded, feeling her resolve through their bond. "Then we rescue him tomorrow during the execution ceremony. Valdrin will have all his attention focused on the crowd. It's our best chance." As they planned the rescue mission, Jake realized that the blood bond had changed both of them in ways they were still discovering. Princess Vera was thinking like a human strategist, while Jake was developing Zephyrian intuitive abilities. They were becoming something new, something that neither species had ever seen before. But they were also running out of time. If they failed to save King Aldrich, General Valdrin would have complete control of Zephyria, and then he would turn his attention to Earth, bringing war to Jake's homeworld. The next day would determine the fate of two species and the future of peace in the galaxy. Jake looked at Princess Vera, feeling the strength of their connection flowing between them. Whatever happened, they would face it together. "Are you ready for this?" Princess Vera asked. Jake smiled, feeling more confident than he had since returning to Zephyrian space. "With you, I'm ready for anything." Through their bond, they shared a moment of perfect understanding. Tomorrow they would either save both their worlds or die trying. But they would not face that challenge alone. The ancient temple rose from the crystal plains like a mountain of living light. Jake Morrison crouched behind a group of silver trees, watching thousands of Zephyrians gather for what General Valdrin called a purification ceremony. Through his bond with Princess Vera, he could feel her horror at seeing their most sacred place being used for such a dark purpose. "The temple has been in our culture for 10,000 years, Princess Vera whispered as she joined Jake behind the trees. "My ancestors built it to celebrate the connections between all living things. Valdrin is using it to destroy those connections." Jake could see the massive crowd surrounding the temple. General Valdrin's soldiers were everywhere, their weapons ready. In the center of the temple's highest platform, a crystalline altar had been prepared. Even from this distance, Jake could see King Aldrich bound to the altar, his once proud form now weak and frail from months of poison. There are too many guards, Danny Collins said quietly. How are we supposed to get close enough to help the king? We're not going to rescue him from the altar, Jake replied, an idea forming in his mind. We're going to stop the ceremony itself. Through their blood bond, Princess Vera immediately understood Jake's plan. The temple has ancient power systems built into its structure. If we can reach the control chamber beneath the altar, we might be able to disrupt the entire ceremony. But the only way into the chamber is through the temple itself, one of Princess Vera's warriors pointed out. We would have to walk right past thousands of enemy soldiers. Jake smiled, feeling Princess Vera's thoughts mixing with his own. Not if we're already supposed to be there. An hour later, Jake found himself wearing the robes of a Zephyrian priest. The disguise was Princess Vera's idea, shared through their bond the moment Jake suggested infiltrating the ceremony. Zephyrian priests were allowed to move freely during religious ceremonies, even ones perverted by people like General Valdrin. Are you sure this will work? Amy Rodriguez asked as she adjusted her own borrowed robes. The bond will guide us, Princess Vera replied, touching Jake's hand briefly. I can feel the temple's energy patterns through our connection. We'll know where to go. Jake nodded, trying to look calm despite his racing heart. The plan was dangerous, but it was their only chance. While he and Amy infiltrated the ceremony as fake priests, Princess Vera and her warriors would create distractions around the temple's perimeter. Lisa Kane and Ryan Torres would stay with the Terra Nova, ready to provide emergency transport if needed. As they walked toward the temple, Jake felt the strange sensation of seeing the world through both human and Zephyrian perspectives simultaneously. Through Princess Vera's shared knowledge, he understood the religious significance of every symbol carved into the temple walls. Through his own human experience, he recognized the tactical weaknesses in General Valdrin's security arrangements. The crowd parted respectfully as Jake and Amy approached the temple steps. Zephyrian culture held priests in high regard, and even Valdrin's soldiers nodded politely as the disguised humans passed. Inside the temple, Jake was amazed by the beauty of the ancient structure. The walls seemed to glow with their own inner light, and soft musical tones echoed from hidden sources. But the peaceful atmosphere was ruined by the presence of armed guards and the dark purpose of today's ceremony. Remember, Jake whispered to Amy, we need to reach the control chamber before Valdrin begins the execution. They moved through the temple's corridors, following the mental map that Princess Vera was sharing through her bond with Jake. It felt strange to navigate using someone else's memories, but it worked perfectly. Every turn, every hidden passage was exactly where Princess Vera remembered it being. As they descended into the temple's lower levels, the sounds of the crowd above grew distant. Here in the ancient heart of the building, Jake could feel power flowing through the crystalline walls. This was technology far beyond human understanding. But through his connection with Princess Vera, he began to comprehend how it worked. The temple's systems are connected to every Zephyrian on the planet, Princess Vera's voice whispered in Jake's mind. It was designed to amplify telepathic connections and promote understanding between our people. But Valdrin is planning to reverse its function. Jake stopped walking, a terrible realization forming in his mind. He's not just planning to execute your father. He's going to use the temple's power to break every telepathic bond on the planet, including ours, Princess Vera replied, and Jake felt her fear through their connection. They reached the control chamber just as General Valdrin's voice echoed through the temple from above. The ceremony was beginning. People of Zephyria, Valdrin's amplified voice declared, today we purify our species of all foreign contamination. The weak king who allowed aliens to poison our bloodline will die, and with his death, all unnatural bonds will be severed forever. Jake and Amy found themselves in a circular room filled with crystalline control panels that pulsed with soft light. The technology was completely alien, but through his bond with Princess Vera, Jake could understand its purpose. Amy, start recording everything, Jake ordered. Earth needs to know about this technology. But as Jake approached the central control panel, he felt Princess Vera's presence in his mind growing weaker. The ceremony above was already affecting their bond. Jake, Princess Vera's mental voice was fading. The ritual is starting. You need to stop it now or we'll lose our connection forever. Jake placed his hands on the control panel, trying to understand the complex energy patterns flowing through the temple. Through his weakening bond with Princess Vera, he could sense what needed to be done. but the knowledge was slipping away like water through his fingers. "I don't know enough about your technology," Jake admitted. "I need you to guide me, but the ritual is blocking our connection." "Then we do this together," Princess Vera's voice whispered in his mind. "I'm coming to you." "No, it's too dangerous," Jake replied. But he could already feel Princess Vera moving through the temple toward his location. Above them, General Valdrin continued his speech about purification and the elimination of alien influence. Jake could hear the crowd responding with approval, their voices echoing through the ancient stone. Minutes later, Princess Vera burst into the control chamber, her crystalline skin glowing with exertion. Behind her came two of her loyal warriors, their weapons ready. "The temple guards tried to stop us," Princess Vera explained quickly, "but our bond gave me strength I never knew I had." Jake took her hands, and immediately their connection flared back to full strength. Together they approached the central control panel with perfect understanding of what needed to be done. "We can't just stop the ritual," Princess Vera said as her fingers moved across the crystalline controls. "If we interrupt it incorrectly, the backlash could kill every telepathic Zephyrian on the planet." "Then what do we do?" Jake asked. Princess Vera looked into his eyes, and Jake felt her making a decision that terrified her. "We reverse it. Instead of breaking bonds, we strengthen them. We use the temple's power to show every Zephyrian what our connection feels like." "What will that do to us?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer through their bond. "It will make our connection permanent," Princess Vera replied. "We'll be linked forever, sharing thoughts and emotions for the rest of our lives. And the process might change us in ways we can't predict." Above them, General Valdrin's voice rose to a climax. "And now, with the death of the corrupted king, let all unnatural bonds be severed forever." Jake heard the sound of energy building in the temple's systems. The ritual was reaching its peak. "Do it," Jake said without hesitation. Princess Vera began the reversal sequence, her hands dancing across the control panel with practiced skill. Jake placed his hands over hers, and together they redirected the temple's massive energy output. Instead of severing telepathic bonds, the temple began amplifying them. But more than that, it began broadcasting the unique connection between Jake and Princess Vera to every Zephyrian on the planet. For the first time in their species' history, Zephyrians experienced human emotions directly. They felt Jake's selfless courage, his willingness to sacrifice himself for others, and his deep respect for Princess Vera despite their differences. They felt Princess Vera's wisdom, her love for her people, and her hope for a better future. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Throughout the temple, Zephyrian soldiers dropped their weapons as they experienced compassion and empathy on a level they had never imagined possible. In the crowd outside, thousands of Zephyrians suddenly understood that the differences between species were less important than the connections they could share. General Valdrin's supporters began to question everything they had believed about racial purity and alien contamination, but the process was taking its toll on Jake and Princess Vera. As the temple's energy flowed through them, Jake felt his human identity merging with Princess Vera's Zephyrian nature. They were becoming something entirely new, something that belonged fully to neither species. "Are you ready for this?" Princess Vera asked, her voice now speaking directly in Jake's mind. "Forever," Jake replied, and meant it. The temple's energy reached its peak, and Jake Morrison and Princess Vera Thalnos ceased to exist as separate beings. In their place was 6 months after the temple ceremony. Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the combined human Zephyrian space station orbiting between both worlds. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from both species working together to build defensive platforms. The sight filled him with pride and hope. "The early warning systems are almost complete," Princess Vera said as she joined him at the window. Even though they could communicate through their mental bond, they still enjoyed talking aloud. It felt more normal, more like the people they used to be. Jake nodded, watching a human construction ship work alongside a living Zephyrian vessel. "Just in time. Our scouts report that the Dominion fleet will reach this sector within the week." The Dominion had appeared without warning 2 months ago, attacking outer colonies belonging to both humans and Zephyrians. Their message was simple and terrifying. All inferior species would be enslaved or destroyed. They had technology that could disrupt telepathic abilities and weapons specifically designed to counter Zephyrian biotechnology. Any word from the research teams? Jake asked. Princess Vera smiled, and Jake felt her excitement through their bond. Dr. Webb and the Zephyrian scientists have made a breakthrough. By combining human engineering with our biotechnology, they've created something the Dominion has never seen before. Jake raised an eyebrow. What kind of something?
Ships that can think and adapt during battle.
Vessels that are part machine and part living organism, with human tactical programming and Zephyrian intuitive abilities. Through their mental connection, Princess Vera shared images of the new hybrid ships. They were beautiful and strange, looking like mechanical flowers made of metal and crystal, but Jake could sense the power contained within their unusual design. The first squadron should be ready for testing tomorrow, Princess Vera continued. But Jake, there's something else. The Royal Council has made a decision about our status. Jake felt a flutter of nervousness. The Zephyrian government had been debating what to do about their unprecedented blood bond for months. Some nobles still believed that Princess Vera had been contaminated by human influence. They've created a new title for you, Princess Vera said, her golden eyes sparkling with amusement. Blood Guardian of the Crown. It makes you officially part of the royal family while acknowledging that you're still human. And what does Earth think about that? Jake asked. Admiral Mitchell says that as long as you don't start a war, Earth doesn't care what the Zephyrians call you. Jake laughed, remembering his old commanding officer's practical approach to diplomacy. The past months had changed so much, but some things remained wonderfully the same. Their conversation was interrupted by Amy Rodriguez's voice over the station's communication system. Captain Morrison, Princess Vera, please report to the command center. We're receiving priority signals from the outer sensor network. Jake and Princess Vera hurried through the station's corridors, passing mixed crews of humans and Zephyrians working together. The sight still amazed Jake. 6 months ago, most humans had never seen an alien. Now they were building a shared future among the stars. The command center was buzzing with activity. Lisa Kane looked up from her pilot station as they entered. Long-range sensors are detecting a massive fleet approaching from the galactic rim. Computer analysis suggests at least 500 ships. The Dominion, Princess Vera said grimly. Danny Collins turned from his medical monitoring station. There's more bad news. The fleet is broadcasting some kind of signal that's disrupting telepathic abilities. Several Zephyrian ships in the outer system have reported communication problems. Jake felt Princess Vera's worry through their bond, but their connection remained strong. The temple ceremony had changed them in ways that made their mental link resistant to outside interference. Time until they reached the inner system? Jake asked. 18 hours, Lisa replied. Jake looked around the command center at the faces of his crew, both human and Zephyrian. These people had become his family over the past months, and he would do whatever it took to protect them. Send word to both fleets, Jake ordered. All available ships are to rendezvous at the asteroid belt. We make our stand there. Sir, Amy said hesitantly. Intelligence reports suggest the Dominion fleet outnumbers our combined forces 3-1. Numbers aren't everything, Princess Vera replied, echoing the lesson Jake had taught her months ago. We have advantages they don't expect. Over the next several hours, ships from both Earth and Zephyria gathered in the asteroid belt between the two worlds. Jake watched from the bridge of the new flagship, a hybrid vessel that was part human technology and part Zephyrian biotechnology. The ship felt alive under his hands, responding to his thoughts almost as quickly as he could form them. Incoming transmission from the Dominion fleet, Amy announced. The main screen filled with the image of a creature that made Jake's skin crawl. The Dominion commander looked like an insect that had learned to walk upright, with multiple eyes and mandibles that clicked when it spoke. Primitive species, the creature hissed in translated speech. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Your resistance is futile. We have conquered 47 worlds and all fell before our superior technology. Jake stood up, feeling Princess Vera's strength flowing through their bond. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Zephyrian Alliance. Your threats don't scare us. We've learned that cooperation is stronger than conquest. The Dominion commander's multiple eyes focused on Jake with obvious disdain. You are the contaminated human who corrupted the pure Zephyrian bloodline. Your abomination ends today. The transmission cut off, and immediately the Dominion fleet began moving toward the asteroid belt. All ships, this is Jake Morrison, he broadcast to the combined fleet. "Today we're not fighting as humans or Zephyrians. We're fighting as partners, as friends, as family. Show them what we can accomplish together." The battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Human ships used their superior firepower and tactical flexibility, while Zephyrian vessels employed their biotechnology and telepathic coordination. But it was the hybrid ships combining both species' strengths that turned the tide. Jake found himself fighting not just with his own skills, but with knowledge and intuition he had gained through his bond with Princess Vera. Every maneuver he made was enhanced by her understanding of energy flows and tactical patterns. Every decision she made was strengthened by his human adaptability and strategic thinking. The Dominion forces had expected to face two separate species with predictable weaknesses. Instead, they encountered something entirely new, a truly cooperative alliance that could adapt and evolve during the heat of battle. "Jake," Princess Vera said during a brief lull in the fighting, "I'm detecting something strange about the Dominion flagship. It's not just a ship. It's some kind of mobile command center that's coordinating their entire fleet." Through their bond, Jake immediately understood what she meant. If we can disable that ship, their whole fleet might lose coordination. "It's heavily defended," Princess Vera warned. "We'd have to get very close, and the approach would be extremely dangerous." Jake smiled, feeling the same reckless courage that had led him to give his blood to save an alien princess. When has that ever stopped us? Working together through their mental connection, Jake and Princess Vera coordinated a desperate attack on the Dominion flagship. Human and Zephyrian ships created a diversion, while their hybrid vessel slipped through the enemy's defenses. The final confrontation took place inside the Dominion command ship itself. Jake and Princess Vera fought side by side, their movements perfectly synchronized through their blood bond. They moved like dancers who had practiced together for years, each anticipating the other's actions. When they finally reached the ship's control center, they discovered something that shocked them both. The Dominion wasn't a single species at all. It was a collection of conquered races, forced to serve a ruling class that had enslaved them through technology and fear. "We can free them," Princess Vera said, her hands already moving toward the control systems. "The same principles we used in the temple can be applied here." "Do it," Jake said, standing guard while she worked. Minutes later, the Dominion fleet stopped fighting. Across hundreds of ships, enslaved species suddenly remembered what freedom felt like. The ruling class found themselves outnumbered and overwhelmed by their former slaves. The war was over before it had truly begun. In the aftermath, as representatives from dozens of species gathered to form a new galactic alliance, Jake and Princess Vera stood together on the observation deck of their station. Earth and Zephyria were visible in the distance, but Jake no longer thought of them as separate worlds. "Do you ever regret it?" Princess Vera asked. "Giving up your old life to become something new?" Jake considered the question seriously. Through their bond, he could feel her curiosity and affection, but also her genuine concern for his well-being. "Never," he said finally. "I was a good ship captain, but I was just one person trying to make a difference in a big galaxy. Now we're something more. We're proof that different species can become stronger together." Princess Vera smiled and took his hand. Through their connection, Jake felt her complete agreement and her love for both him and the future they were building.